When my girlfriend decided to have an abortion, I had no choice. My life spiraled out of control. I was depressed and suicidal. Learn how Jesus, the light of the world, gave me hope on life after choice. Hi, I'm Michael, and welcome to Life After Choice. My girlfriend decided to have an abortion, and I want to share with you my story on how this journey took place. I remember the day when she received the test back from her pregnancy, and I was just really shocked. I was afraid. I was just scared, wondering what we should do. But I had no choice in the matter. She decided to terminate this pregnancy. I remember her calling so many different clinics and over, wondering when she could get in for an appointment. And the day finally came. I just dreaded this day so much. And she just decided this is the place I would go. I remember the drive. It was really a time warp. I remember just driving, there was silence in the car, and we got to the clinic and she checked in, and I sat there in that waiting room. It felt as if it were 1,000 years. My mind just raced back and forth. What's going on back there in that room? Is this the right decision? Can I just go back there and just knock on the door and just say, stop and don't do this? And I remember I was just there in a daze. I was confused. And then she walked out. I could not even tell you how long this was, if it were 20 minutes or an hour. But I remember her walking out, and she had a really sad look on her face. She didn't say much. She was really silent. She was under a lot of anesthetic. And so I drove in silence, lots of questions in my mind, but never said a word. And after that, I was living at the time on South Beach in Florida. I was not in any way having a spiritual walk with God. I was a Buddhist. I was an animist. I was into a lot of occult things. And that is when I began just really looking and trying to find peace. And it was as if I was just searching for something that was never there. It was a nameless pain. Imagine having pain in your heart, and you go to a doctor and they could say, well, this is the reason why. But my heart, emotional pain, I was aching so much inside, and I could not tell anyone because, of course, of this nameless pain. I could not really at the time attribute it to abortion. And so this nameless pain continued on for years and years and years. My life spiraled out of control. I had many addictions. At that very moment when this took place, I had just graduated from PA school as a physician assistant. I was board certified, and I just thought, you know what, I had to go on a quest for peace. And so I became really ingrained in my Buddhist culture, in my Buddhist religion. I started doing more and more meditation, thinking this would give me peace, but it didn't. And so over and over, I would try to calm my nerves, try to keep peace within my heart, but it was futile and it was useless, to say the least. Substance abuse was one of the things that I used to calm my pain or help me through this period of time, trying to find peace, but yet it was not possible. I remember later on, years had gone by, and I began pastoring in ministry. It had been a number of years now. I'd given my heart to the Lord, and I still had not dealt with this abortion. I thought, well, you know, Jesus forgave me, and I just move on with this. And I remember it was in 2016. It was January, and I received a connection card at my church in Tulsa. And a young lady wrote on that card that she wanted to be involved with abortion, post-abortion, helping people with life after choice. And I thought, well, this is a great idea. I'm really not the person, and so I will get her connected with someone. So I called the union office and found out that there was Mafgia, a ministry specifically for this. And God kept impressing upon my heart, Michael, you need to deal with your pain. You've not dealt with this. You've not really unpacked all the layers on what had caused the pain years before when your girlfriend had that abortion. And so I remember as I was thinking about this, I had a dream one morning. And in the dream, I was very angry with my girlfriend. And my wife, she was driving the car, and we saw my girlfriend, and I was in a hurry to get out of there, just not to talk with her. And so I woke up, and I remember my spirit was troubled, and I was wondering, why would I be upset at my girlfriend? And over, the Holy Spirit was impressing me. You have a lot of bitterness towards her because of the pain that came from having that abortion, and you need to forgive her. And so I prayed earnestly that God would forgive me and that he would bring healing to her heart if he hadn't done that also. I went back to sleep, and I had another dream that night. And in this dream, I remember going to a hospital, and I saw her family there by her bedside. And I just wanted to say something to her, and they beckoned to call me in. And a matter of fact, I had a flower, not this flower. Remember, it was a yellow flower, maybe a sunflower, and a light beamed through this window by her bed. She was very sad, and I gave her this flower, and I didn't say anything to her, and I woke up from the dream. But at that very moment, I really believe it was God saying, you had released her from the bitterness you had. Yes, there was lots of pain because of the abortion, and you had so much that you had been carrying with you. The depression was because of the abortion. Your suicidal thoughts was because of the abortion. Your anxiety and the lack of peace that you had in your life, it was because of the abortion. And so finally, this nameless pain was named. I knew, I understood, this is the reason why I was feeling so discouraged. This is the reason why I was using all these different drugs and being so addictive to many different things. I am grateful because through that process, I was able to get in contact with Rachel's Vineyard, and I went on a retreat. And at this retreat, I learned about this nameless pain. It just really magnified the grace of God and how he is so patient with us. You know, I had so much pain, and I remember that weekend where they had us carry around these rocks, and they were saying, choose a rock that really identifies with the pain that you have had. And they said, you're going to carry this rock around with you until you feel as if you have let it go. I remember us going through, the living scriptures, and they were looking at the woman who was caught in adultery in the very act. And they were asking us, how do you feel? How do you place yourself in this story? And I really felt that I was just really abandoned by God while I was going through this. I was seeking after peace. That's why I was in Buddhist religions and various things that I was meditating, trying to find peace. And so as I was carrying this rock around at the retreat, I realized that God is such a merciful God. And when I gave it in and I says, I don't have to carry this rock because I've been forgiven. I've been healed. I've been given another opportunity to live life. And so it has been my desire to share how God can bring healing. If you're thinking about having an abortion, and maybe you're wondering and saying, this doesn't even matter to me because I can go through life without even worrying about this. I will tell you again, I had so much pain. I was disgusted with myself. I had so much anger and never knew why, but I realized the nameless pain was the very reason that it was caused because of the abortion. I have dedicated a lot of time in ministering to those in life after choice. I have been seeking God more and more how to give peace. I've been praying for my former girlfriend and wondering how her life is. It has been definitely a journey in wanting to see how I can be used by God. One of the things that I remember as I reflect on my time, while I was there on South Beach, I had given up even practicing as a PA, and I took a very deep spiritual life, a turn just like Buddha took, and trying to find peace, remembering how I would just do all these things, cutting myself and doing all these things, trying to find peace. I would cut my arms, cut myself, trying to find peace because the pain was so unbearable. But when I found Jesus, and I remember giving my heart to Christ, it was there in Florida, and it was a few years after the abortion, and my mom told me, she said, you know, you should go to this youth thing they have. It was a Pathfinder retreat. And I told my mom I did not want to go at all. And I ended up going anyway. And I just want to show you how God is so in the business of reconciliation. He wants to renew and restore you. My life was broken. My life was confused. My life was depressed. I was suicidal. And I'm just telling you, I remember when I was suicidal, I really had planned it all for myself to be killed, for me to take my life. But God had better plans for me. And I want to share with you in these final moments how God really gave me hope. I went to this retreat when my mom told me I should go. It was a youth retreat the Pathfinders had in Florida. And as I was there, I was wondering, I'm not going to even go to these meetings. I decided I will just sit in my tent. And I was talking with this young lady. I remember I just sensed God's presence just calling me to the amphitheater. And I sat all the way in the back. And they made an appeal. The message, by the way, that night, on that Friday night, as I was sitting in the back on the amphitheater, all the way in the back, I felt as if Jesus just knelt down and talked to me face to face. I felt as if he was saying, Michael, the abortion you had, I forgive you. Michael, the pain that you were carrying around and all this weight of sin and guilt, I'll take that from you. I remember that very night. It was the first time in all these years that I actually accepted Jesus. I remember walking down to the front. I remember they had an appeal, and I gave my heart to Jesus that very night. That was in 2000. And so I was a PA, as I mentioned, but I felt really God saying, Michael, I need you to do something else. And so I became a medical missionary in Korea, gave my heart to the Lord, and it's been the greatest blessing to know that God heals. He is the very one. I think of the story in the book of Mark where that woman had the issue of blood for 12 years. And I think of her life and how it says that she had spent everything she had and gotten worse. That's the way I felt my life was. I had put so many hours. I would meditate for 24 hours or more. I would fast and do all these things as a Buddhist and trying to find peace, but never found it. But when I gave my heart to Jesus, I realized he accepted me. He didn't blame me for the decisions I made. He didn't say, because you're guilty, you will remain guilty. He didn't say, well, you don't have peace and I won't give you any peace. He offered his hope. And by faith, I just reached out and I accepted Christ's forgiveness. And he has healed me. And I thank God for him naming my nameless pain. I know without a shadow of a doubt, whatever you're experiencing, if you're making a decision and thinking, well, I won't have any consequences if I have this abortion, I will tell you, save yourself the pain. Understand what I went through. It was gut-wrenching. Understand the times when I wanted to end my life, but God intervened. Understand that the pain that I went through for all these years, without even identifying it, it was because of the abortion. Just remember, you will save yourself, most of all your soul, in accepting Jesus as your Savior, as I did. Thank you so much for allowing me to share from my heart what Jesus, the great physician, has done for me in naming my nameless pain.